G'day guys and welcome to Friday's email. There's always some good content and tips and strategies on what we should be doing in the real estate market. My name's Sam Saggers. I want to help you through a great little tip which I think will help you understand how the real estate market works. Of course, for the best tips and strategies, I'd advise coming along to one of our property information nights they're held around the country. Some good stuff there, good content, you can take some good notes. Now for those people who've been watching the Friday email, probably last week you saw from Jason, who explained to you some concepts about adding value to real estate or what we control, which is the strategies: discount, renovation, strata subdivision, doing a subdivision, doing a small development, and even buying property off the plan. All of which we touch on at our property information events, so come along to them. What he also mentioned was the market and how we seldom can control the real estate market. We can make decisions and control the strategies of what we're doing, but can we control the market? Well, I believe we can control and make some informed decisions about which markets to buy in. In Australia, there's 7 or 8 primary markets, capital cities, which we can buy real estate in. Do they always go up all at once? No, the answer is. Often real estate markets work against or are counter-cyclical to each other. For example, Perth may be rising and Sydney may be falling in value. So how do we always put our money in the right market, and how do we understand the market drivers? Well, there's 6 key market drivers for economic growth in real estate. We can't control them, but we can make some real good informed decisions on where to invest our money. They're economics, yield variation, supply and demand, population growth, infrastructure, and of course, demographics. Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favourite, which is economics. So what's another name for economics? How can we break down the economics of an area? I like to call it house price versus household income. House price versus household income. House price. The income. Okay, so if we could find an area today where you could find a good household income, a high household income, and low property values, do you think that would be a good area to start with, to explore, to invest? Well, I think it is. And real estate markets are made up of a component. Okay, real estate markets grow, so they start by being bearable. They become equitable. And if they are equitable for a long time, they are what we call sustainable markets. And if they're sustainable, well, we love buying in them, they become very viable. Okay? Bearable, equitable, sustainable, and viable. So what does that mean? What the hell am I talking about? Let me explain further. I'll break it down for you. Let's use some simple maths. If we were to find a property in an area, and the average house price in that area was say $100,000 for easy maths, and the household income in that area was $1,000 per week, can $1,000 a week afford a loan of $100,000? Okay, can it? With the interest rates today, can it afford it? Well, the answer, of course, is yes, it can. Okay, right now in Australia, in the Australian property market, and in all states and territories, 99% of the Australian property market is what we call a bearable market. The household income can afford the house price. Okay, that's why we don't see many crashes in real estate in Australia, because of the income versus house price. The interesting thing about Australian property market is 70% of it is made up of household, just owner-occupiers. Only 30% of it is geared towards investors. Conversely to the stock market, which is 100% investor-driven. Okay, so right now in Australia we have a bearable market situation. What does that mean? Well, it's a very stable marketplace, the property market, but how are we going to make some money? That's why you want to hear the tip. How are we going to use this strategy to make some money? Well, let's go find an equitable market. So if $1,000 a week can afford a $100,000 loan, what usually happens is a little thing called capital growth. So the capital growth comes along. Let's use some easy maths again. Let's call it 10%. 10% on a $100,000 property means the new value of the property is $110,000. And in the middle, we have a thing that we've just gained, which is now called equity, isn't it? Okay, so that becomes an equitable market. Okay, we've just made $10,000, and our market or economics of the market is now equitable. Okay, and so to own equity, you need to be able to service it. So can $110,000? Sorry, can $1,000 a week afford a $110,000 mortgage? Well, yes, it can. So you now can borrow that equity. And of course, if that market went up another 10% and another 10% and so forth, okay, eventually we could see the rise and rise of this property. Okay, now property markets tend to go up in 2 or 3 year increments. In fact, some markets have doubled in a very fast period of time, over 2 or 3 years. Doubled in value, okay? And usually it's to do with the income and the house price. And so if you can imagine, if this property sort of got up to the medium average property in the area, got up to around 200,000, and we had a loan of, we had an income still of around $1,000 per week, we still could afford that property. So it's a very sustainable marketplace if the income is high and the house price is low. It can run for quite a long time. That is what we call a sustainable market. Sustainable markets are viable markets. Okay, right now in Australia, there's marketplaces where the economics of the area is so opportunist because of high wages and low house prices. What I suggest you guys do is come along and see some more tips and strategies at our property information nights that are around the country. In fact, in every capital city of Australia, right now you can book to come and see one of our presentations on market strategies and tips. Take some good notes. I hope you enjoyed the economics. It's a big key driver for my rationale of getting into certain areas, and I hope I explained it. Look forward to meeting you and talking to you soon.